with me.
What's the matter with you?
There's nothing the matter with me. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Get a soda. I don't drink soda anymore. If you're watching on the Gig channel, go over to T.W.D. Stroke because that's where you get the full enhanced production of this.
Which apparently we're doing with the Delco accent tonight?
Yeah, why not, dude?
All
Just
right.
to rep where you're from, you know what I mean?
Let's do it.
I am the original T.W.D., the original gentleman rider, if you will. And now we will go to Paul Jones, our resident Supercross analyst. Paul, what do you have for us?
Not too much this week. There wasn't a lot going on out there. I saw you mud bogging, and that looked like the most fun. Like, of all the things that I know you can get out there and do on the dirt bike,
Yeah.
that's where I'd want to start, like mud bogging, just getting dirty and filthy and digging through the puddles and things like that, like a little 3-year-old.
Yeah, when I started riding, I thought, well, here's the thing, real quick, hold that thought. If you're coming in, we want to tell you that this is the TWD Stroke podcast, and we are here so that you don't have to bug your coworkers about your dream bike and where you plan to ride this weekend because they're sick of hearing it. So Put us in your dollar store earbuds and let's talk bikes. When I started riding, Victor Deuces Coco is in the live chat. What's up? When I started riding, getting dirty was the last thing on my mind.
Oh, okay.
You know, not that I was for or against it. I just didn't really think about getting dirty, right?
Well, because you're the freshest kid I know.
Right. Exactly. So it kind of, there is a, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know where you're going with this, so I can't help you.
There's
with the
like a clash in, there's a turn of phrase for it, and now I can't think of it.
Okay.
But anyway, and now I love the muddy days. When it's raining out, after having a couple of rainy days riding,
right?
Like this weekend, it was a rainy day, as you saw by the mud bogs.
Right.
Last weekend we had a rainy day. I think 2 weeks before that, the rainy days, the muddy part is whatever.
Right.
You know, I'm neither for nor against it. But when you are out in the woods and you hop off the bike and it's raining and the leaves are wet and everything's kind of cool and there's a little bit of that pitter patter coming down on the leaves, phenomenal, dude.
Right. So you've done a 180 on that whole position then.
Yeah, because I used to hate rain in the woods. I didn't like anything peaceful at all. I was really highly against meditative, peaceful situations.
Your soul is antagonized by calm.
Yeah. The big news that everybody's waiting to hear about is the word on the internet is that Britney Spears is gone. She's died.
Passed on again? This is not the first time she's passed away.
All of the Britney Spears posts are AI. Like deep fakes.
Okay.
Now I've seen that when we do this on the replay,
we'll trim it down.
Yeah. Don't worry, we just lost everybody who was here because of your audio mistake.
Both of them, it's fine.
You know what I'm saying?
Check. All right.
Hey, if you were looking for a part-time hobby and you could run this thing better than payday.
Yeah, please. I will turn the reins over. I am not ashamed. I got us to here, and if somebody wants to get us over the mountaintop, that's fine by me. But I think the audio is back now.
Yeah.
So I'll do a quick clip in the middle and bridge it back together again.
Yeah, it's good. All right. So yeah, I mean, listen.
That was a wild one.
The Britney Spears thing is.
I know you don't want to go any deeper into it. I'm just curious. Like, first of all, I think the more important question I have is, knowing you and where you prefer to reside.
Yeah.
How did you come across this?
My wife.
Oh, okay.
My wife loves a good conspircy.
You weren't just out there on the KLX websites reading about this?
Yeah, no. I catch conspiracy shrapnel if I go out of the house for more than, let's say, 45 minutes, I have to dodge conspiracy shrapnel walking through the kitchen in order to get into the house and do anything else. But I always catch a piece of something. Today, our TV was playing on loop Court TV, so we could hear the latest news about the thing with the kids out at the college in Iowa.
Was there a shooting?
No, months ago, the dude went in there and Coburger.
Okay.
Does this ring a bell to you?
Roughly.
I'm trying to keep it clean. I don't want to say,
no.
You know, I don't even want to touch on that kind of stuff because Zuckerberg don't like us to begin with.
We can slide off of it. I was just curious as to how it came into your purview in the first place.
Yeah, conspiracy shrapnel.
Very good.
So, anyway, let's get back to the mud. Let's get to the bikes.
In the mud.
Yeah.
Get in there.
So, you seen I put up the mudding clip,
yes.
right? Now, I'm not a mudding guy, right?
No.
Like, mostly, I didn't start, because the KLX was brand new, so I didn't want to touch mud with it. On top of the fact that those tires are just going to spin in mud more often than not.
Okay. They don't have enough knobbiness?
Yeah, exactly. But the two-stroke flies, not flies through the mud, but it eats up anything you throw at it.
Okay.
And so flying through those bogs is a hell of a time.
Sure.
Right? Getting muddy is not my favorite thing on a bike. My favorite thing, I think, is not even air. Catching air is one of my favorite things.
Okay.
Even though I only catch minimal air.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up between not even full-blown catching air, right?
Okay.
But like going over a whoop or like the top of a hill or off of like the side of a trail.
Okay.
And you flip the throttle a little bit and it lifts the wheel up. The front wheel lifts up and then the back wheel drops down first.
Like coming over top of an apex.
Yeah.
And drop.
Yeah. Like it almost feels like a wheelie. That's
Okay.
one of my favorite things. It's a toss-up between that and a hill climb. Love a good hill climb.
Okay.
Now,
just because of the challenge of it, keeping the bike down while
there's just a unparalleled feeling of flying up a hill at 25 miles per hour with the flick of a wrist. It just feels good, especially if you get a nice lip at the top of the hill. So then you're flying up this hill, and then when you get to the top of the hill, you catch a little air as you land up to the top. Yeah, that's a real good feeling.
All right.
Also sliding sideways, getting sideways, like, so when you're in loose dirt, right? If you put your bike you turn and lean at the right angle of both, you start fishtailing out, right?
Okay.
Your back end just slides out and around, and that's a pretty good feeling too. I mean, really, all of the things.
All of it.
Yeah.
But
going fast on a dirt bike, hitting a whoop section or the rhythm section, all feels pretty good.
But you can still rank it, though. You can still tell me what your favorite is. It
Yeah.
can all be great.
It's hard to say.
There's more greater than other.
It's hard to say.
Okay.
It's between those three.
All right.
Like speed, whatever.
Right.
Not necessarily my thing. I'm not mad at going fast.
No, but it's not a, I would assume in your mind, it's not a test of skill to go fast. So what's the big deal? All you did was crank throttle and shift at the right time.
Right. I foresee, though, the best feeling is yet to come.
Yeah.
Which is hopping over logs.
Hopping over, like a full-on lift the whole bike up in the air over a log?
Basically,
Okay.
So
like a bunny hop, basically?
if you got like a 250 or a 300,
Okay.
you have the power there.
Okay.
Right? You have the power to just kind of blip the throttle, and that front wheel will lift up.
Okay.
And if you kind of position yourself right and do the right thing, I'm not sure what it is because I don't know exactly how to do it,
You're
but
not there yet.
you do the right thing, that front wheel goes over the log, and then the back wheel kicks up, and you're over, right?
Okay.
So that's probably, I haven't made it there yet, but I think that's going to be the best feeling on a bike.
To the next best feeling.
That's what I'm shooting for is hopping over logs.
Okay. And then after that, it should be full speed up the hill. Like instead of...
Oh, it's always full speed up the hill. You can't go...
Oh, your 25 is max out speed?
Well, for my bike...
Oh, okay.
But also, I mean, there may be a hill that you could go 40 up of it.
Okay.
25...
It's faster than you think.
In the woods.
Yeah.
On the street, no.
I'm sure.
But when you're flying down single track, 25... this is, for me, 25 is pretty fast.
Oh, well, you're not representing yourself as a professional at this point.
40 is probably ridiculous. Feels ridiculous. If you could fly through single track doing 40, you're kind of a beast.
You're doing good.
Yeah, in my mind.
Okay.
You know? So that being said, since we're talking about feelings to come, let's talk about our segment. Again, if you're in the gig page,
Come on over.
head
Get
over
the
to
good sound.
T.W.D. stroke page. The sound is better.
Video's
the production better. We got it all
whole
straightened
thing.
out. Or you could stay there.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me either way. I'm
Because
just
that one's not going to break down. That's neither here nor there.
just trying to give you the best show for your money.
Please.
Our segment, the bikes
Bikes
I've
you've touched. Yeah.
right?
It's my favorite segment.
We have a little something different this week on the segment.
Okay.
Because I told you last week we had a special bike coming up for Bikes I Touched this week.
Right.
It's still in the chamber. I still got it in the clip.
Okay.
You're going to have to wait till next week to hear about this one because I want to get the footage. I didn't get any footage of it.
But you've already touched that bike, and now you're just saving up the story, or you haven't touched that bike yet?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's such a unique... I have to touch it again and get footage because it's such a unique bike that I need the footage to go along with it so that it can be explained. Because it's not like... this is not a bike that if I just say, this is a Honda so-and-so, this or that you can just look up and see what it is. This is a very unique bike, but that will be here next week when I get some video footage to go with it.
Gotcha.
This week, instead of bikes I touched, we're going to talk about bikes I want to touch.
Oh, okay.
Kind of.
Or
bikes
creepier with this.
Bikes I'm going to touch.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I'm getting touchy-feely, baby.
I see that.
And they're young bikes.
Are the bike okay with this?
Baby bikes, if you will.
Jesus.
20.
I don't know.
Born last year.
Jeez. As long as the bikes are okay with it, though, and their owners, right? Their owners ultimately are the ones who have to give them permission.
That's true. That's true. But here's the thing, and I probably shouldn't jinx myself, but I'm gonna do it anyway. All for the love of the game, Jack. So the KLX, we know I haven't been touching for quite some time.
Right.
Now that I have a two-stroke, it's an old 15-year-old Husqvarna 125 two-stroke that most of the bolts are rusty. The engine runs mostly pretty solid, and
But it's changed your whole opinion on the entire thing.
Absolutely. I was scared of a two-stroke to start. Not scared like fear of what a two-stroke could do. Scared of how much maintenance I thought that they needed.
You thought you were going to have to put a lot more work into riding that.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, I heard things like, you got to shim the heads. You got to rebuild the top end every 15 hours. And you got to change the gear clutch oil every 3 rides. And,
a crazy amount of maintenance compared to a 4-stroke where it's not your main priority in life, so you want something you can jump on and go when it's time to jump on.
Particularly the KLX 300, which has maintenance intervals of like 6,000 miles.
Right.
Which is one of the selling points when I bought it. I was like, I don't have to deal with any maintenance really until forever.
6,000 miles, that's got to be 2 or 3 years worth of riding for you.
Easy. Probably easy, right? So I stayed away. So when I was buying a bike, I didn't even think two-stroke.
Right.
Now, I came to the point where old CRF Mark has a 99 KDX 200, Kawasaki KDX 200,
Okay.
which is a mean, legendary two-stroke, right? And I rode that. The first 7 seconds that I was on this bike, I knew that I am a two-stroke knobby tire guy, dude. The ride on the KDX for 7 seconds blew away all the riding up to that point.
So, I'm going to assume that, like, you weren't really going any faster or you weren't on different terrain. So what is it about the feel that's so much different?
So there's a couple things that I've noticed and a couple things that other people will also tell you about two strokes versus four strokes, right? Okay. One, I was going faster. When I rode his KDX for the first time, I was going faster because it had knobby tires on it and we were in pretty loose sand. Okay. So the maneuverability already blew away the KLX that has 17-inch rims and street tires on it against 21-inch or a 19-inch rim and knobby tires on it. But so now the handling is night and day. It's a very big difference, even though maybe it doesn't seem like it. But
no, what I was going to say, that's not two-stroke versus four-stroke, though. That's just the bike was better built out for the terrain.
Correct. There's this, a lot of guys will say a a four-stroke you feel planted. Okay. Which is it's a hard description to make because there's no real world comparison. Okay. So when you hit that throttle on the two-stroke, it just kind of feels like you're riding on top of you're staying on top of the ground. Where the four-stroke feels like you're kind of dug into the ground and grabbing a lot of traction.
So the two-stroke feels almost like it lifts up when you hit the gas, and the four-stroke feels like it kind of digs in and dives into the terrain?
Yeah, kind of. Secondarily, audio is a luxury now. What a great saying, Victor. I just seen that. Yep, audio is a luxury at this show.
And ours sounds luxurious now.
Yes. Also, speaking of luxury sounds, the two-stroke sound, which we went over a couple weeks ago, just sounds like the epitome of what a dirt bike should sound like.
It sounds way more violent and angry. Yeah.
The smell of a two-stroke engine smells like somebody's cooking drugs in a shack in Appalachia. There's just and here's the other thing that I learned kind of after getting a two-stroke, or I really grasped after getting a two-stroke, is they're a little bit more technical to ride. Okay. So the way that I kind of see it is with a four-stroke, you're being propelled by your throttle. Your throttle hand is your main vehicle for acceleration and movement, right? Okay. You open the throttle, you go forward, right? Wherever you're at. On a hill, open the throttle, you go forward. The two-stroke, your clutch is more of the kind of the vehicle for your acceleration. You need to be able to play the clutch with like 3/4. If you're going up a hill and you start to lose power, you feel it losing power, you kind of pull that clutch a little bit and it grabs and gives you more traction and sends you further up the hill. So there's a more technical aspect to riding a two-stroke. Now I'm glad that the KLX came first because I don't know that hopping on a two-stroke, I don't know how easy that would have been to like start with a two-stroke. I think nowadays if you have the luxury to learn on a four-stroke, it's the way you want to go. It's much more predictable power. Okay. The two-stroke, they call it the power band. Right. So the power curve on a four-stroke is like a straight diagonal line up a graph. Okay. Zoop.
Thank you for showing us what a straight line up a graph looks like. Right. I appreciate that.
A power band on a two-stroke, the power kind of comes like this. It's more of an arc. No power, no power, no power, power. Okay. Right? And it shoots you.
Kicks in later.
And it shoots you. Okay. So like you said, it's a little more violent. It's a rowdy bike to ride. Right. Which is more exciting.
Sure.
You know? It's more The 4-stroke is very much made for the street and very good on the street.
Okay.
A 2-stroke is not really a street, doesn't have street manners, they would say.
Okay. It's not refined enough for the street.
No.
Okay.
And a 4-stroke is great for the dirt too. It's very predictable.
Right.
But that 2-stroke floating on top of the dirt with that rowdy power band, it's just a different beast. And to me, it adds another element of fun.
Okay.
Right? So, I say all those things to say that the KLX was the wrong bike for me to pick. And I didn't know it at the time.
Not necessarily. So hear me out, right?
Please.
So if you had started on the 2-stroke, because of the violent nature of the bike itself and the more precise clutch work that you need, it may have all at once been thrown at you, might have been a deterrent for riding.
It's possible.
Whereas being on the KLX first, you kind of got some of the technical stuff was easier so that you could figure out the looser stuff and then say, all right, I understand what riding a bike is going to take. Now give me a tougher, like the learning curve went up, but you didn't start at the peak of the learning curve. You walked your way up the hill.
Right. So, it was good to start, but it's not very well suited for the riding that I've found myself enjoying most.
What you didn't expect to enjoy when you started.
Right. Well, I thought, it'll be cool, but I just didn't think that was... Now, if I have an hour or 2 hours to ride, I'm going to the dirt.
Straight to the dirt.
Straight to the dirt. I'm not even thinking about driving on the street. I'm going, cutting through the neighborhood and going right to the dirt on the 2-stroke.
Right.
So, I sent an email to the dealership that I bought the KLX from.
Okay.
Said, hey man, I'm so glad that I bought this bike from you guys. This has been one of the best things that I've done in the past, maybe my whole life. However, as it turns out, the KLX Supermoto is not particularly a fit for the riding that I found that I like to do.
Right.
You guys have a KTM 150 XCW. So, 150 cc's, so it's a step up from the 125 that's out back that I've been riding.
Okay.
And XC is cross country, enduro. W, woods. It's geared for the woods.
Okay.
So this machine is the ideal machine for me, for my type of riding. The ideal machine for woods riding, a lot of people would tell you, is a 250 or a 300 KTM XCW. To me, I don't know that I think that's a little too much while I'm still in my first year of riding.
You're still a rookie.
Yeah. And it may always be too much. The fact that the 125 weighs 200 pounds, 198 without any fluids in it, right?
Right.
Is ideal, right? You could throw that thing around a little bit. The KLX is almost 300, maybe over 300. And you can tell when you're on it. You got to fight with that warthog.
Right.
The Muskrat, she just gets thrown around. If I get in a jam, I pick up the back end and flick it around and just keep going. So they were like, yeah, we could trade it in. You just gotta bring it over. We'll appraise it.
Right. Make sure you didn't scratch it up.
And we'll work out the numbers. So I have a feeling, I think if I kept my mouth shut, didn't tell anybody, went and did it, it would have went off without a hitch. But I've told a couple of people, and now the internet. So I have a feeling I'm going to get there with my bike, and they're going to go, all right, we'll give you $700 for your bike.
That's like a $250.
And so that gives you, if we roll that into your current financing rate, you only have to pay $975 a month for this XCW.
We'll take the bike off your hands, and between the two bikes, you're now financing $24,000. Let's go.
So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that tomorrow I can get over there and we can work out the numbers. What I have to my advantage is that I'm paying insurance on the KLX for the street.
Okay.
Right? So that's $80 a month.
Okay.
I figure if the KLX is $127 a month is my payment right now.
Okay.
Add that $80 for the insurance.
So you're $210 a month.
If I can get the KTM for $210 or less, we're a go.
And then you're going to kill the street insurance because you're not going to ride on the street.
Well, I'm still going to ride on the street.
No, you're not going to ride on the street.
Listen, I'm still going to ride on the street. I don't think anybody's watching to lock me up. And if you are, come catch me in the street. Catch me in traffic,
catch me
dog.
outside.
Catch me in traffic. If you could catch me, you could catch me. So we'll see, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping with all of my heart that tomorrow night I am in hallowed dirt over there in Pine Hill, ripping that 150 KTM. But I'm hoping, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
How much was the first bike off the floor?
They're $1,000 difference. The KTM is $1,000 more.
But
like branded off the floor, yeah.
But we're talking 7 to 8, 10 to 11. Like where's the
6 and 7? So we'll see.
Okay.
It may be possible. I crunched the numbers, and
$20 per 1,000.
If I keep the same term, right, it winds up being $30 more a month for the KTM. Where it comes in is what they give me for the trade.
Yeah, if you can eat $2,000 or less, if you're eating $2,000 or less on the old bike, I think you'll make it under, which is that's a decent. So that's like 30% of the value. I don't think that's unreasonable that you could hit $210 a month without too much of a crazy deal happening.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
Crossed.
If so, then you guys are going to have to wait for that really unique bike for one more week because I'm going to be talking about the 150.
New one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, this week, aerial street riding video footage someday soon.
You can get aerial from where you're located, which would be very exciting.
Yeah, I could get aerial wood footage too if I borrow my buddy's drone. And that may happen. So I went up to the Poconos this week.
Okay.
For work.
Oh, okay.
But I was not going to go up to the mountains and have the opportunity to ride new dirt.
Oh, yeah.
And not bring my bike.
No.
So
you'd be crazy.
I wasn't sure which bike to bring, right?
Okay.
Do I bring the 2-stroke that's dirt certified, or am I going to get up there and it's all coal and anthracite packed trails that the KLX would do just fine on and probably is more reliable, so I can go out into the woods as far as I want without really having any qualms.
Without much concern, right.
So I decided to go with the less reliable bike and more excitement because
you can't just suddenly stop being a cowboy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. I'm in it for the story. You know this, Daddy. So I'm up there. I look on this app that I have, the On Off-Road app, which I got a bone to pick with the On Off-Road app.
Sure. Who doesn't?
Yeah. They're showing trails left and right out there, everywhere, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So I pick 2 trails that are close to the job that I'm working at, and I take off towards them. I load my bike in the truck. It's not a ride on the street thing. It's a load them in the truck, and then drive it over there. So I do that. I find the trailhead, and there's an abandoned house here. We're in Pennsyltucky.
Yeah.
Right? So there's an abandoned house off to the side of the road, and not another house for miles. And I'm like, I'm going to park my truck like all the way on the far corner of this property because it's clear. Yeah. So I do that.
There's no way a guy lives there.
As I'm getting my gear on, getting my camera set, I haven't even took the bike off, and I see this truck, the same truck, drive by twice.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, well...
You're being scoped.
Yeah. I'm like, well, we're in Pennsyltucky. It's probably a couple methsters. And there's nothing in my truck of value. All my tools are on the job site. I'm going to be on the bike.
Right.
Go ahead, break in it if you want.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead and...
Take all the change out of the ashtray.
Take all the half-used tubes of caulk that you want and a bunch of that drywall tape. You could have it.
Right.
Maybe you could take it and flip it, turn it into something. Right. So that truck goes by twice, and now here comes a guy in a Honda Civic. Pulls right up on me, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Right, as far as you know, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, what's up, buddy? Not much. What you riding? I'm like, yeah. I was looking on the app. This is here, that's there. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, this is the Emery's house here, and all that land across the street belongs to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I go back and forth with him a little bit, and he's a very nice guy.
Okay.
He stopped to talk to me to kind of give me forewarning, like, hey,
right.
It's not on me,
right.
but you're probably going to have some trouble. You start
with Emery's.
Yeah, you start right. Yeah. They might as well be what's that beef in the South?
The Hatfield and the McCoys.
Might as well be the McCoys. The Emerys and the Coves. It's a legendary beef. The Coves are from out that way. Right. They're from coal country.
Where the famous pictures are from, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I should have started calling in backup. Yeah. Like, hey, I got beef with the Emerys out here. Yeah. I got a problem with the Emerys out here. They would have all those Polacks out there. They would have shit a brick if they knew war was about to happen.
Especially with the Emerys.
Yeah, I come from a long line of tough, dirty Polacks.
Those are coal miners.
Yeah, coal mining Polacks who are just looking for a problem.
Yeah.
They're drinking all day and looking for a problem all afternoon.
That's how they get their exercise.
Yeah. So this guy's giving me the polite warning, and I'm like, all right, so where do I ride?
Right.
Right? If this is private property, even though this app is showing me it's a public trail, where am I going to ride? Where can I ride out here? He's like, well, I ride too.
Okay.
I got about, 6-7 acres behind my house that I cut some trails with the quad through there.
All right.
It ain't much. I'm like,
it
doesn't have to be much. I can get my riding fix.
Yeah, no one coming after you with a 12 gauge, so that's a plus.
Right. I'm all for it. I said, you don't care? Can I ride? Don't care if I ride here? He's like, nah, you ride. I said, okay. You gonna ride with me or what? What are you doing today?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, man, I guess so, sure. Well, what the hell, right?
Yeah, he wasn't doing nothing. He was just driving around in this Civic.
Right. Looking for somebody to talk to.
That's right.
So he tells me I'm in house 32 down this road.
Okay.
I said, all right, I'm going to load the bike back up.
I see you down there.
I'll meet you at house 32.
Nice.
He pulls off. Before I even walk back over to the bike, here's another truck pulling up on me.
Uh-oh.
Not the one that was doing laps.
Right.
A completely different guy.
We got a third vehicle now.
We got a third Pennsyltuckian.
Yeah.
And a third Appalachian mountain man pulling up on me.
It's getting tight now.
So I'm like, hey, man, what's going on, dude? How are you? He's an old guy with bad teeth, a Make America Great hat.
He's an Emery.
Yeah. And a shotgun rack in his center console.
A full shotgun rack.
Yeah. I'm like, what's up? How are you, buddy? He's like, all right. I'm like, I heard the deal.
I'm on my way.
Like, I get it. I'm not trying to stir up no problems.
Nope.
I'm from New Jersey, where if we see woods, we go in them, and nobody says anything. Right. So we're in different worlds here, He's like, yep. And this guy was suffering from BDS, which we've seen in stories on the podcast before, body deficiency syndrome.
Okay.
He's just looking for somebody to talk to.
Right.
Right? Yeah. He's like, yeah, well, my property starts right there, goes about 50 yards up. Now, you see, this is the Emerys, but the Emerys don't own it anymore. They passed away. Now the McCallahans have taken it over, and they own all the way over there. Now,
so why did
once
the guy
you
in
get to
Civic
this
know
trail,
about McCallahans?
because he's a young bull.
Oh,
this guy's the old head who's in everybody's business.
He's the historian.
Once you get up to that trail there, and about 150 yards past that, that's Maggie. That's Maggie
Yeah, she's a nice one.
And now I'll tell you what, you wind up on Maggie's property with no plate, she's gonna chase you out.
Yeah.
She's gonna chase you out.
She's a looker, but she's got a mean streak.
I'm like, yeah, no problem, dude. I was just talking to another guy who said he's got some trails behind his house. He was like, well, yep, that was Jason Ellis.
The Jason Ellis?
The Jason Ellis,
Australian
dude.
stunt rider?
Yeah, that Jason Ellis. I'm like, okay. I was like, yeah, well, Jason Ellis invited me to ride behind his house, so this whole problem is solved. Right. No problem.
Not even trying to cause any sort of
So this guy goes,
at all.
yeah, well, yeah, he's just trying to get his dad to shoot at him. He's trying to aggravate his dad to get him to shoot at him. So you can ride that at your own risk. I'm I'm like, what? You're trying that sentence that doesn't even compute to me. This guy invites me to his property, and his dad's gonna shoot at us?
Right.
I don't get it.
Well, just him, not you. You don't know who you are.
But I might mess around and catch a stray.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Buckshot goes wide.
Now I think to myself, here's where I come to this crossroads that I've been to many a times before. I can go right, and there's a story here.
Yeah.
Now, do I roll the dice to get to this story? Should I get to the end of the story, or do I play it safe and just kind of let it be? Right?
Have a nice little tale of riding in the woods.
Yeah. Now, I thought nothing was going to happen, but also, I'm not in familiar turf.
You're not in familiar turf, and I feel as though you're not dealing with people who are going to embellish too much right now. Like, these people are talking to a stranger about who's going to get shot and whose property you are on. They're not going to have a tendency to be telling you tall tales. They're going to be kind of right down the middle.
Pretty blunt about it.
To you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believed the old man and said, you know what? I'm not going to go getting shot at today. Right. It's already starting to get late in the day, but now I'm pissed because my whole plan was to ride this morning and then work in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Now I didn't get to ride this morning, start working at noon. We worked until midnight that day.
Okay.
Trying to get things done at this property for the Jedi.
Okay.
But that's neither here nor there.
Right.
That's just what men do.
Of course it is.
Leave a comment below if you've ever worked till midnight. So I do a little research. I find a place up there called the Lost Trails. Now the Lost Trails is an off-road park.
It's a very horror movie-ish, but go ahead.
It's an off-road park.
Right.
So nobody's checking for your plates. Nobody cares if your Department of Environmental Protection approved.
Right.
You could ride a quad, you could ride a bike, you could ride whatever, side by sides, whatever you want. You pay your $40. Here's 2,000 acres of trails. Knock yourself out, kid. So I go over to the Lost Trails, pay my fee, and I take off into the woods, right?
All right.
Now I'm riding for about 5-10 minutes, and I come to a stream crossing.
Okay.
Now I look at it and I say to myself, well, this stream was put here as an obstacle for me to overcome. Let's get our hard enduro on, babe.
Yeah.
Me and you. I pet the muskrat. I say, girl,
right on the handlebars.
You're gonna see some things today that you ain't seen before. But
not,
me
not
and you,
15 years of life.
Yeah, me and you, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through it, girl. So we cross the stream and take off into the woods. Now I wound up literally on the side of a mountain. The hill climbs that I'm doing in Pine Hill are bumps.
Yeah, you're in the Poconos now.
In comparison to the mountains that I'm on my way up through wildly rocky terrain.
Right.
Before I had the chance to go, maybe this is too much for me.
Right.
I was 2 steps above my head, but I'm already there. I can't turn around. I'm literally in the middle of a rocky trail on a hill going, I don't want to be here.
Right.
This is way hard. This is not a leisurely ride. And it was not a leisurely ride, but once I started conquering those rocky hill climbs and rock gardens and coming down the sides of rock ledges. Everything was rocks.
Well, yeah, that's how they do it in the mountains.
As I'm doing that, I'm not too shabby, cuz. Look at you go. You look like one of these real hard enduro guys.
Yeah.
You're living the dream that you set out to live when you got this 2-stroke and put it in the truck.
In 6 weeks' time. That quickly.
Well, I pick up on things quickly.
Yeah. Fast learner.
So all day, man, I'm working hard. This is not like Jersey. Jersey, you get a lot of sand trails, a lot of rhythm sections, berms, things that are basically made for you to just go fast.
Zip across.
Yeah, and ride your dirt bike over.
Keep your balance.
This is slow going, technical riding, and I'm working hard all day. I'm through the mountains. I find a view. I go up some different spots. I want to start heading back to the parking lot, right? And as I'm heading back to the parking lot, after about an hour, I kind of catch my bearings and start understanding how the trails are working.
Okay.
There's 3 or 4 trails that get progressively higher that run the side of the mountain, right?
Okay.
And they run like east to west on the side of the mountain.
Right.
Then there's trails in between all of those, like a grid, that take you to the next trail.
Yeah.
So after I kind of figured that out, it became pretty easy to navigate. But easy to navigate, not easy to ride. We're still dealing with very...
Simple, not easy.
Yeah. Technical terrain. So on my way back, I wind up in this rock garden that seemed to go on for a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm working through it, and the bike's kicking out, and I'm holding, and I'm trying to speed, and I'm swerving, trying to go up this side and dodge bigger boulders and not get a pop tire. And I get to the end of that rock garden, and the thought in my head is like, I don't want to keep doing this. I had fun. I've had fun up to this point. I don't want to keep going through this. I just want to call it a day.
Yeah, you want to tap out.
I'm tired. I've succeeded. I haven't dropped the bike.
Right.
Like, I just want to get back. I don't want to go through another technical rocky terrain situation.
Right. Where's the bailout trail where I just take mud back to the truck?
Right. As soon as I have that thought in my head, I look off to the side of the trail, and there's the most picturesque stream that I've ever seen. I'm stopping right here.
Yeah.
Lean the bike up.
A little fresh drink of water.
And I walk over. The stream is crystal clear. Mm-hmm. It's dribbling over rocks, so it's a little babbling brook, if you will.
Yep.
It's cold. I splash on. I wanted to drink the water, but I wasn't sure that I could or I couldn't, so I didn't risk it.
You're good.
I didn't want to risk it.
Purified by nature. It was good enough for the deer. It's good enough for you.
I would think so, but I also still had a bottle of water, so
okay.
I
Did you drink it and then throw the bottle in the stream?
Yeah, of course, dude. I emptied all my trash out of my bag into the stream.
Yeah, the stream carries it away. You're good. It's like nature's recycling plant.
Exactly. So so it's like you get to this. This is what I've seen thus far with riding. The dirt bike gods will bless you with a reward that is equal to the level of work you put in.
Okay.
Right? So the harder that you work to get to a place, the more rewarding it is when you get there. We found one of those spots over here at Little Mill where we're bushwhacking through swamps on a muddy day, and we wind up cutting into all underbrush, and we get around this huge tree stump, and after we work through it and all of us are dripping sweat and breathing heavy, we stop, and it's like this awesome looking swamp with mist on the top of it, and it looks like something out of a movie. So it's thus far been my experience with dirt bikes, as probably with life, that like the harder you work, the harder you get rewarded.
Right.
And this was no different over at the Lost Trails. So I get back on my bike and I ride across the stream further down.
Okay.
Now, when I get across the stream further down, I run into 2 guys who I met in the parking lot.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, how you guys making out?
Yeah, how's
right?
the trails treating you?
They're like, oh, we're having a good time, but we can't find this trail. All these trails are marked. They keep saying go this way to find the tunnel, but we can't find the tunnel. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't see any marked trails, right? So I talk to them, and then they're like, yeah, you'll see. Just follow the signs. It'll take you right back to the parking lot over here. All right, cool. So I start following signs, and I'm looking, and every trail is marked in correspondence with the map that they had given me.
Okay.
Right? I'm like,
makes sense.
oh, well, this is why the map makes no sense, because I managed...
You're upside down?
I managed to get myself outside of the limits of the park.
Oh, okay.
Out into something that I'm probably not supposed to be on.
Just the pure wilderness.
Jason Ellis's dad is probably waiting to shoot me at the end of one of those trails, but I just didn't know it.
Ghosts of the Emeries are chasing you out.
Yeah. But it was better that way because all of these marked trails were chewed up.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're the marked trails.
Right, because guys are on with quads and SUs. It wasn't dirt bike certified trails. Now, I wouldn't say the trails that I was on were dirt bike certified, but they weren't chewed up like these trails. Yeah. It was way more enjoyable on the unmarked side of the lake
Well, yeah.
than it was on these trails that were supposedly made for riding. So, it was just a thing. It's like you get yourself out into the untouched land it's going to be a better time than if you're trekking.
Of course.
And I didn't realize that when I picked up a dirt bike that this was going to be, I didn't realize the level of exploration that it was going to allow me.
Oh. Why?
Because I didn't think I was going to be riding dirt like that.
Right. Okay.
I assumed I was just going to be cruising streets. And yeah, there's some exploration to be done to go check out this neighborhood and go to this restaurant and stop and have a beer at that bar.
Urban exploration isn't quite the same.
Right. But when you get out into thousands of acres of mountain wilderness, you are not, had I been on foot, I'm not covering 1/8 of what I covered that day in 2 hours on a bike.
No.
So it's opened up a whole lane, and if for nothing else, everybody should be riding dirt bikes to help them get in touch with nature.
Sure. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
When the cavemen originally developed dirt bikes, that was why they were doing it.
Yeah.
Felt like they were spending too much time in the cave, weren't getting out, getting their fresh air, and that's what they decided to do.
Now, I thought of this. And I was going to try and fake the funk and tell you to just ask me a question as if I didn't make it up.
Right.
But that's not going to work.
No.
So I started thinking to myself, I love this so much.
Yeah.
I love riding like beyond anything that I've loved yet.
Okay.
Hobby-wise.
Right.
I started thinking like, what would I give up in order to keep riding, right?
Okay.
Because I'm a gym guy.
Yeah.
And I have been, since I was about, 15 years old, I've worked out on a very regular basis.
Okay.
I've taken some short breaks for one reason or another, but for the most part, I'm always on my fitness because it's such a benefit to my life.
Right.
And I like being in shape.
And you like the discipline of it.
Yeah. I thought if you put on a scale the gym and riding, which one will I take? For the rest of my life, I could have one or the other, right? And I think that in that scenario, I'm forced to say, well, I'll get fitness from riding. I'll work up a sweat and work up some muscles.
Oh, yeah. You're sore from riding this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sore. My joints are sore, which is not like muscle sore. That's like not a good thing. But what are you going to do? That's just, that's just being 37 years old.
Sure.
I'll give up the gym for it.
Okay.
Here's where it starts to get tough.
Okay.
Right? Hey, Sean, if you could rewind time to being 29 years old, you don't have any kids.
Okay. So you're not going all the way back to your youth, but you're just going back to like pre-family Sean.
Right.
Okay.
Now, are you
still basehead Sean at that point, or?
I'm right on the brink of cleaning it all up.
Okay.
Now, do you take riding for the rest of your life, or do you take the family that you're about to have and create for the rest of your life? In hindsight, which is 2020.
Now it's a conundrum.
Well, in hindsight, it's obvious you take the family.
Is it? Is it like it's super obvious? There's not even a second of doubt?
Yes.
Okay, very good. For the recording of the show.
Yes. I wouldn't think twice about definitely having a family rather than being able to ride whenever I want at any time or anywhere that I may want to go. Just kind of go off into the sunset.
You don't want that.
No, I think the family is definitely the right choice.
Yeah.
Prior to having a family,
right,
it then becomes a very different answer.
Okay.
Right? The only time that it winds up being a dead even kind of, do I pick having a family or do I pick a dirt bike, right?
Right.
Is if at 29 years old, before I had kids, I also had not yet rode. Right?
Okay.
I don't know the benefits and I don't know what it's like to ride and explore the woods all day, but I also don't know what it's like to be a father.
Sure.
And to have, a daughter who's my best little bud and have a son who is obviously going to be the next enduro champ of the world.
I don't see it any other way.
I don't know what I pick. So I posed the question to you as a listener. If they gave you the option that you can continue to ride for the rest of your life, however, your wife's got to go, which one do you pick? Because I have buddies who have decided, yes, they have made that choice and have said, like, I don't have a girlfriend or a wife because I want to ride. I've seen videos of guys online whose videos were titled, a motorcycle is better than a girlfriend.
Right.
Right? Which, that's definitely, in some cases, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Your motorcycle doesn't want anything from you except some gas. Maybe a little bit of maintenance now and again.
Okay.
You know?
So I don't know anybody else who's a bike rider.
Right.
But I do know a couple other people who are into sort of those, you kind of have to sell out in order to be into the hobby sort of hobbies, like fishing.
Yeah.
Where, like, you pretty much are committed to being gone from 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning until Sunday.
Yeah.
And they are married.
Yeah.
And they've all clearly made a choice, and it wasn't their wives. Right? It's a passive choice, right? They didn't get divorced or anything like that. But clearly, on Friday night, the first thing they're thinking about is hitting the sack early so they can get up early and just leave and be gone until they decide to come back.
Right.
So you've made the choice, even though you're not, making a choice. So my question to you, just to spin it just a little bit, while you're making this choice, what if it's assured that everyone is taken care of? So you're leaving your wife to go ride bikes, but the kids are taken care of, the wife is taken care of. Like, you're not stranding them, you're just going away from them. Does that change your decision at all?
Well, I guess if we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it,
right,
then I have to know, what's my living arrangement? Am I living in a garage with my bikes? Or am I just ignoring the family and still coming home in a couple of days after I'm done, on a excursion out into the wilderness?
You got a nice spot on the west side of Cherry Hill over by Wegmans, where you live in a little 2-bedroom, John, and then you have a garage right underneath of it.
Right.
So you can do all your shop work right there, and then you're not that far from visiting the family, and they have, good reasons to travel towards you, and you have good reasons to travel towards them. So you haven't disappeared, but you're not here anymore.
And me and my wife are still together.
You're still amicable, and she's, like I said, and she's taken care of. Like, they don't have to worry about paying the bills or anything like that. The bills are covered.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's I like those. I like having those kids when I come home.
Sure. Every single moment, though. There's
most
never
moments.
one where you're just like,
here's the thing.
Give Daddy a 15-minute timeout, please.
No, not usually. Most moments, I like having the kids around.
Okay.
And the kids are more of a constant in my life than riding. Like,
so far.
The time spent around the kids and in the house is more time than out on the trail.
Right.
So, I would say that, like, well, if I didn't have the kids, then I would just fill that time with riding. So, I don't know. I posed the question to you, the listener.
Right.
Would you leave your wife for your bike? I would be willing to bet that most of the answers, when this question is asked,
I think the way you have to ask the question is how you're going to get your answer. How quickly would you leave your wife?
I was going to say most of the guys are already in some phase of leaving your wife or your motorcycle.
You've already checked out mentally. Why don't you just physically pack up and go?
Yeah. It's wild that it's such an intense pull on you.
Yeah.
Like, that riding is such an intense pull that's even a thought. Nothing else, like, it's a no-brainer in every other situation that the family is the number one thing.
The priority.
But there's something that happens inside of your psyche and your spirit when you're riding that just doesn't compare quite to anything else.
It's the freedom. It's the abject freedom of it. It's I'm out on this trail. I only have me to rely on, right? I can't hope that somebody else catches me if I fall over. And I can just basically, with the way that you ride at this point, pretty much go where you want, when you want, how you want, right? There's nobody policing the corners at the dirt track.
Yeah.
So it's just from living the standard home life where you have responsibilities and chores and all that stuff and kids and a wife to take care of to
none of it.
And you're just tucked into your helmet and you don't have to hear anybody or see anybody and you're just
deal with anything
and just taken to the air.
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest. I think that the biggest thing that continues to draw me to want. I will ride every day if I could. If I had the time and my wife wouldn't get annoyed with me and I didn't have to deal with her being annoyed and my knees didn't give out. Like today, I wanted to ride, but I wasn't mad at not riding because of the way that my joints feel after riding yesterday.
Okay.
If all those, right? Oh, here's what I'm saying. Is like the riding keeps pulling me because when you're out riding, like my life isn't super happy right now because of work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of
regular stresses.
Yeah, regular life stresses are a little heavier now than normal the past month or so. And whatever, we'll get through them because we always do. It's always it's cyclical.
Ebbs and flows.
Right. However, when I'm out riding, I am not thinking about my bank account.
Right.
I'm not thinking about if I have a job coming up to do or if I have to go schedule a job. I'm not thinking about paying for tuition for, private school for my dog. None of it.
Right. It's all gone.
You can't ride to the best of your ability and still be thinking about life. It all disappears and it's almost like Eastern philosophy, spiritual in that way is like you are completely in that moment and that is like, in whatever Eastern religions will tell you is like the ideal is to be in this moment now. That's your end game goal, to live in the moment, right? Which sometimes I can do it in life. I can always do it on a bike.
Right.
So that's what keeps bringing you back, I guess. That amongst, the smell of two-stroke fuel burning is...
Gets a little high.
Smells like drugs, man.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, all that being said, we had more to discuss this evening, but we're running up against our time limit here. So if you come back next week, our resident Supercross analyst is going to have something to tell us.
Yeah.
You like sports.
I love them.
So this is your new sport to follow.
Yeah.
It's your new lane. You're going to be a Supercross guy.
I've set all the DVRs for it. I'm ready to go.
Boom. Also, over the past couple weeks, California has decided that by 2035, you can't ride a dirt bike in Cali.
Right.
So we are going to bring a little research to the table and talk about that. One of us leans heavy California in his views. One of us does not.
Sure.
We'll let you figure it out. We'll be back here next Monday at 8:30. We're also back on roll. If you want to listen to the audio episodes, they're on Spotify and iTunes and Stitcher and all the podcast places. If you made it to this part of the podcast, 1, we appreciate it. 2, give us a like. 3, throw a comment in and come back next week. We're here to keep you company. Also, you could call in next week, 1-856-0 if you got a bike topic to talk about, or call in and leave a message.
Or if you have something that Sean can talk about.
I'm talking way too much, which is what I seem to do, and I'll just keep going until the mic cuts out. You can't stop a guy like me from continuing to just run off at the yapper